And then maybe not the best example of the use of color, but we always have to think through color because color in itself is very powerful, you know. And so stop apartheid killings isn't nearly as impactful if it's a nice kind of blue sky blue. The red one underscores the point even more, and it brings home that reality. Okay, so color is also just something that one kind of needs to look at. Then there's movements. As activists, members of social movements, of civil society, we want to give our members and we want to give the public a sense of we're moving towards something. You know, progress will be made, we're taking steps, we're actively pushing towards something, to have our rights realized, or whatever it might be. And so it's very hard in a still image to show movement, to show the potential of progress. But it's, you know, once you know the little tricks, it might become a bit easier. So there's a block, there's a frame that frames the photo. But the simple act of having their feet come out of the box at the bottom there shows movement. They're stepping out of the picture to us. And so that shows movement. And this one probably does it even a whole lot better. They're literally running out of the picture, out of the frame. Right, and then just specifically on layout. And so this is how we place things on a poster. Borders, so we've seen how they, and we'll look at how it assists movement again. And essentially in these two images, borders serve completely different purposes. So in the one on the left, where's the border now? So this is the End Conscription campaign asking that again. It underscores the question of where the border is now, because we have one border, we have a second border inside the first one, we have a third border, and then obviously the red dots are referring to the SADF, and it's showing that they're actually in our townships. So what is the army doing in our townships? You know, surely the army should be on the border. But then tellingly, the one border that they haven't drawn in is actually actual landlocked borders that we have with our neighboring countries to the north. And so immediately this picture then also says that it's speaking to the fact that the SADF is doing stuff in Angola, in Namibia, in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique, that it shouldn't be doing. It shouldn't be there. And so just interesting how frames and borders can be used to underscore a position too. In the picture on the right, women unite. And so this very thin green frame around that photo holds those women together visually. It creates a space for them, and it holds them. It allows the page to hold those women and show that they're united. Puts a ring around them. And here again, just the poster, the way in which borders can be used to show movement. And then we look at pictures without borders. And so if we compare this to the previous picture of the woman with the frame around them, in this one a woman, but there's no frame. South African conflict. And this isn't being held. It's saying, look, you can't look away from this. You can't get away from this. The entirety of this page and the entirety of our experience is this South African conflict. So it's not limited in any way, it's the entire page. And this is what we call a vista, when an image takes over an entire page. And then just, I'm curious, look at these two images, they're just slightly different. We really kind of look at them and then we'll see which one you guys like more. So who's going to say the one in your left? Who likes that one? Okay, the one on the right? Highball. We need more hands, we need more hands. One on the left, who goes for that one? Okay, all right. One on the right. Okay. So that I had this picture in the EE presentation too, and then I also didn't get it right. You all have it wrong. No, I'm teasing. What this is trying to show is what's known as the visual sensor. And scientists, and these days they can actually do it quite well. So they put on a pair of glasses that actually has a little camera that looks at your eye. And when you first open up a website, for instance, or open up a book, a magazine, your eye naturally floats. And it's not mathematically, a percentage point somewhere, but your eye naturally floats to the top right-hand space quadrant. And it's just interesting then, and it underscores how design is pretty much all around us and it's constantly considered. So if you think how newspapers are struggling to actually sell hard copies, because these articles I pretty much could have gone and read online without having to pay for this newspaper. So newspapers have to start thinking about how they can compete on the newsstand. So when I've walked in, what's going to get me to pick up this newspaper and actually buy it on that Sunday morning? And now we've learned already to immediately look at the headline. We want to know what the meat is that's going to be in the newspaper. So we're going to look at the headline. That's what you'll do first. But then I'm curious as to where you look next. So that's a natural thing. Your instinct is to read the headline, because that's going to be a big story. But then that's where you go. And of course they're sold folded like this, so that's how it sits on the newsstand. And then you can start seeing that trend emerge. And I mean, it's an innocuous story, but you kind of want to know what's happening to the old man in the pond. And so there's that tendency to just move there. And if you do yourself a favor when you leave here today, and you stop in Pick n Pay or CNA or ShopRite, go to the magazine stand. And so most magazine covers will either have a model that's staring straight out at you, or they're going to have a model that's staring out of you from that point.